Did you know the team to score last has won the Super Bowl each of the last 13 years? If you're looking to enhance your big game betting experience, visit wt.buzz/SB57props for WagerTalk's annual party prop sheet, Ralph Michaels' historical prop betting result and betting tips from your favorite handicappers. And if you're looking to add some wagering entertainment for your gathering, download and print out Super Bowl party prop sheet, which features a number of easy to answer, easy to follow questions to keep everyone engaged from the coin toss to the final whistle. Follow WagerTalk on Twitter during the game as we tweet out the results as they happen. Visit wt.buzz/SB57props for all the details.
We are live, and it is Thursday, February the 9th, which means we're creeping ever so closer to Super Bowl 57 this Sunday night, and we will continue to talk Super Bowl props each and every day here on Wager Talk Today, live at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Wager Talk TV, and of course, archived 24/7 on this YouTube channel as well. And don't forget about the Wager Talk TV mobile app for your favorite device. Watch us on the go all day and night. Hey, I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez. He remains on assignment, still trying to sneak into Super Bowl 57. In the meantime, my co-host Teddy Covers is with me every day this week. And Teddy, we've got a loaded show today on Thursday. Who we have on today?
You know we do, man. It's Thursday. We got Jimmy Adams joining us. He's going to talk a pair of college hoops games in Pac-12 action. USC, Oregon, Stanford, and Arizona State. I'm going to talk national anthems props and what bettors learned last night. We got some of those that are fun to discuss. Bryan Power is going to join us next. He, too, is going to break down college hoops. Iowa against Purdue and BYU at Pepperdine in West Coast action. My big game breakdown, total number of punts in the big game. And then Meghan Payton is going to join us to close out the show. She's going to give us a quadrant of props. She's going to talk about Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, and what color Gatorade we can expect to see poured on the winning head coach. So, loaded show. Should be a lot of fun. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, I got to admit, this might be my favorite show of the week because, as you know, Teddy, Gabe Morency and I, for the last 2 decades, have always delved into that national anthem prop. It's always fun to talk about. And the Gatorade prop is one of my favorites as well. In fact, I went back and watched the end of the 2 title games afterwards. I'm pretty sure, we'll talk to Megan more about this, that there was no liquid poured on either one. But keep in mind, cold conditions in both stadiums. And Andy Reid is definitely not someone you want to be pouring cold liquid on in 20-degree weather. He's got to be, in his 70s now. So Arizona might be a different story. So really interested to get Megan's take on that and see if she has maybe some inside info on the Gatorade bath at the end of the game. Let's bring on Jimmy Adams. And we're going to talk some college hoops here in the first few segments. And a lot of college hoops this time of the year. Jimmy, I think it's probably the best time of the year, February, to be playing college basketball. And let's get right into it. You got a couple Pac-12 games. Let's start with USC and Oregon. What are you doing with this one tonight?
Yeah, look, so spot play here, right? We've seen some money come in on Oregon. Oregon desperately needs this game if they want to impress the committee for the NCAA tournament. The problem is this is just not a good matchup for them at all. First off, like USC's won 4 straight and 6 of 7. The only loss in that span was at Arizona, a Final Four contender for sure. They've scored at least 77 points in each of their last 4, and scoring is going to be incredibly difficult for the Ducks. The reason is the Trojans are the best team in the nation at defending inside the arc, and that's really the only way that Oregon can score. The Ducks are abysmal from 3-point range. They rank 321st in the nation, and USC is also the better free throw shooting team. So if this game is close late, definitely something to consider. Sure, the Ducks have been playing better basketball as of late, but laying this number against a team that's 9-3 against the spread last 12, not something I want any part of. I think we got a live dog on our hands here. What do you say, Teddy?
So I've made money with Oregon in recent weeks, and I'm not in a big rush to step in front of them. They're coming off a game in which they shot 44% from beyond the arc and beating Arizona State in the desert, and now they're back home where the home court edge has been pretty solid this year. I mean, what's your take on this? Are the Ducks? How good are the Ducks? Because I think the Ducks are pretty good, and they're not a team I'm in a rush to step in front of. What do you think?
So the Ducks, I agree that they're a good team and they probably will make a push. Whether or not they, make the tournament remains to be seen. But the problem is the matchup here. Like, it's so bad. The Trojans are so good at defending inside the arc. You mentioned they had a good 3-point shooting game. That's great, but can they sustain it and do it again? I don't have faith that they do. And the betting markets apparently love this spot for Oregon. I love the points with USC. I'm going to ride this defense. USC's been scoring as well, and they are hot. Winners of 6 to 7, like I mentioned. So Trojans for me.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Steve.
Muted. Man, that was some good inside information I just gave. I can't give it again. But anyway, I say that's world traveler Jimmy Adams. We had domestic traveler Adam Trigger on yesterday is actually what I was saying. But Jimmy was with us at the meet and greet last summer. I got to meet him in person. So Jimmy, I don't know if you've gotten the word yet, but it's going to be official most likely next week, but looking very likely that Saturday, August 19th, that third Saturday of August, once again, will be the meet and greet at the Westgate Superbook. And I invite all the viewers and listeners out there as well to join us. And we will have official confirmation within the next week, but start looking at some travel plans this summer to meet us in Vegas on August 19th. Jimmy, that's one Pac-12 game down. Let's look at another one. And by the way, on a nice little hot streak on your 5% plays, and Jimmy's one of the best with 5%ers, so keep an eye on his page each and every day for when those pop. He also has the NFL best bet up. He also has a Thursday college basketball best bet. Let's talk another Pac-12 game, though, while we have you, Jimmy. BYU and Pepperdine. Actually, not Pac-12, West Coast, BYU, Pepperdine. Another, actually, I'm all over the place. Man, I'm confusing myself, Teddy. That's Bryan Power. I knew Jimmy had another Pac-12 game. Stanford, Arizona State. I'm like doing 12 things at once here. Stanford, Arizona State, Jimmy. Give it to us.
Yeah, so look, these two teams really had their seasons turn in opposite directions around mid-January, right? Stanford, all of a sudden, they've won 5 of 6. They were in a tough spot last game. They went to Utah and picked up a huge win. Then they had to travel to Boulder. And they fell on their face, But they still won a 5 of 6. Now they're back home, and they should be able to take advantage of an Arizona State team that hasn't really been doing much of anything right lately. The Sun Devils are absolutely burning money for their backers right now. They've won 5 of 6, or they've lost 5 of 6 straight up, and they've lost 7 consecutive games against the spread. ASU's field goal percentage defense is strong, so Stanford's going to need to find a way to score. But the Cardinal, they weren't having much trouble scoring prior to that Colorado game. Stanford almost beat the Sun Devils in Tempe back in December. They lost by 4, and that's when these teams were in completely different form. You can almost throw out a lot of the Cardinal stats, in my opinion, from 2022 because they've really turned things around. They're great on the defensive glass. ASU shoots a terrible field goal percentage. So give me the team playing the much better basketball, and that's going to be Stanford for me in this one.
So how do you approach teams like Arizona State? Now, you mentioned the 0-7 point spread run. When you have a team that's lost 7 in a row against the spread, it's the anti-betting bandwagon. Everyone's been betting against them, continues to bet against them, and not that many people are betting on them. Is there ever a point that a team is riding an ATS skid? You're like, all right, we can buy low on them here. Or do you wait till that skid ends before you get on board with a team like Arizona State?
So I wait till it ends. I'm not a guy who's trying to step in front of and pick the right spot. Some people with the computer models, I'll leave that to them. But Arizona State's been in desperation mode for quite some time, and things haven't been going their way. And we got a Cardinals team that the betting markets have adjusted. You're having to lay points here, but ASU playing some really bad basketball despite a strong effort. I'm going to have to wait till this ATS losing streak ends before they'll get any of my money.
That's Jimmy Adams, WagerTalk.com, and ASU still 7-4 away from home straight up. But as you said, Jimmy, in terrible current form against the spread, 7 straight losses ATS. We'll see what happens tonight. And that is a West Coast game at 10 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. I mentioned, Jimmy, that you've got a Super Bowl play up, and I forgot to mention that if people want a good Super Bowl pick, they might want to check yours out, as you were number 1 ranked in the NFL this year at WagerTalk.com. A mere 65.5% winners ATS. Just incredible NFL season. Tell us about your Super Bowl best bet and also your college best bet tonight on Thursday.
Yeah, thanks for the promo, Steve. You guys do a top-notch job as always. 8-3, 5% run. We did lose a tough one last night because the best three-point shooting team in the nation couldn't hit a shot. But I will get that rectified. We're still a solid 55.7% on the college basketball season. I've got a best bet up for you tonight, as well as the free play that I gave out. You mentioned I was the number 1 ranked NFL handicapper. We have one more game to go. I have a side that I feel strongly is the right one. Head over to WagerTalk, $25, and let's keep making money.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'm looking. It looks like you're on Utah State. I was with you last night, and that was the difference for winning night for me as well. And I've been seeing it pretty well in college hoops. So I think we're on a good play last night. It just didn't work out. As you said, 3-point variance can get you at times. That is Jimmy Adams, WagerTalk.com. Okay, we're going to have Bryan Power in a few minutes to talk more college hoops, including that West Coast Conference game that I promised Teddy. But in the meantime, I really am looking forward to talking national anthem prop with you, because now this is one that the legal books, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any legal books in the U.S. have it still. I know
Correct.
Nevada's never had it, obviously. And we've had controversy over the years. We've had, the second note being repeated twice. So now the books will say it has to be when they say brave for the first time, how long they hold brave. A lot of times it comes within a half a second, and they'll pay, it's been a real mess, but it's a great publicity prop. And we've got a guy, Morency and I talked about this last week. We have a guy I don't think has ever really sung it on video anywhere. At least I couldn't find any research on it. But obviously, somebody's found something, Teddy. Tell us a little bit more what's going on with the national anthem prop.
Oh, there's the national anthem prop. I got national anthem props all over the place. Again, these are coming from a global book, prominent global book. They're for entertainment purposes only, at least for the purpose of this discussion. But they're fun to talk about. All right, the length of the national anthem opened over under 125 seconds, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Got bet up to 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and then they closed it because there's suspicious betting activity. They're worried that someone knows how long it's going to be. The length of brave during the national anthem. Someone specifically sitting there with a stopwatch. I get the clock on brave. Over under 5 seconds. That too has been taken off the board. And a third one was taken off the board as well. How many planes will be seen during the national anthem flyover? There was a question mark. The over-under was 5. And then the info came out there would be exactly 3 planes using the flyover. But here's some of the ones that haven't been taken off the board. Chris Stapleton, primary color of hat. Black plus 500. Any other color, minus 600. Will any scoring drive take less time than the national anthem? Yes, minus $3. No, plus $2. That's an interesting one. Will Chris Stapleton forget or omit a word during the national anthem? Yes, plus 900. No, minus 3,000. Here are some fun ones. Okay. And this one is, we've seen the lines move from the openers. Who will be shown first during the national anthem? Andy Reid or Nick Sirianni? Started pick. Now Reid's big chalk. 95% of the actions come on Andy Reid to be shown first. Who's going to be shown first for the national anthem? Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes? And again, it's another one that moved from pick. All the actions come on Mahomes. He's minus 165 now. This is a fun one. Who will be seen first during the national anthem? Jason Kelce, plus 125. Travis Kelce, plus 150. Both split screen, plus 300. Take your choice, Steve. Any of those stand out to you as fun ones to bet? They're fun to talk about. I don't know what the angle is on beating any of this stuff.
Yeah, no, my initial thought on both of those pick'em ones, Andy Reid and Mahomes, I definitely would have been all over that at pick'em. So I think that market has corrected itself. I think now there's probably not much value because it is somewhat random, but I would think that Reid being the bigger name coach, Mahomes being the bigger name quarterback, would more likely be shown first. So I think pick'em was not the correct price. Real quick back on the time, and Gabe Morency and I once have talked about this for decades. We talked about it last week on Sirius XM, channel 159 on Sports Grid, is that I think more than ever the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a very tight window. We know everything is so tight. 30 seconds is worth millions, right? I've always felt like 2 minutes is that sweet spot. So when it opened 205, I was a little surprised. And then to see it bet higher, I'm very surprised because my initial thought would have been under without knowing anything. One thing I'll say real quick, the limits on this are very low, obviously. Once again, it's not at the regulated books. And obviously somebody knows something, but then again, for Stapleton or any big name, millionaire, it's not worth betting a couple $100 to change the national anthem. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The flyover, though, was a slam dunk. When you said that, I almost lost my breath because I've been to numerous sporting events with flyover. I have never seen more than 5 planes in a flyover. So that was one of the worst opening lines I've ever seen. Your boy Alf would have hammered that down. So now down to 3 is probably a pretty good number. I'd say 3 to 5. In fact, if it's 3 flat, Teddy, that might be one of your free rolls. 5 was a free roll under, 3 over is a free roll in my opinion. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, they took it off the board because it leaked that there were going to be 3 planes in the flyover.
Right.
So
I got you. They never set it at 3. Yeah. I got you. Okay. Yeah, because I've never seen fewer than 3. I've never seen more than 5. So it's usually one or the other. Very interesting. And then, we'll see what happens. I mean, somebody obviously knows something. What happened about a couple years ago, if you remember, Teddy, is someone saw the rehearsal and that leaked. Yeah. It might have been last year, the year before. So, but we're probably a day or so away from that still. But yeah, fun prop. And yet another reason, as you know, why the regulated books, especially Nevada, does not allow this type of prop.
Well, everything that gets bet in this state has to be gradable via a box score, not via some guy says, "Oh, that was a minute 56." Was it? As you mentioned, there's been more than one controversy on when the national anthem ended and who's going to get paid, overs or unders, and did the Brave last that extra second more than one time. This you have to be able to look at it in the official box score to grade it in the state of Nevada, and there's certainly benefits to that.
Yeah, it's a fun prop. And by the way, it is on the prop sheet at WagerTalk.com. There's a free Super Bowl party prop sheet, and that is the first one up there. They've got it at 2 minutes flat. So those of you that are doing this at your Super Bowl parties might have some inside information to get a winner there at the top of the sheet.
And download that Super Bowl fun party prop sheet is worth downloading. Any party you go to, people will have fun with that. I really encourage you to take that. It's free and downloadable over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, and a shout out to James Bunning. I think others help, but I know James usually does a good part of that. So a shout out to James. He does a great job. It really is fun. I've used it every year, even with the kids and stuff. The Merrill kids, when they're not shooting 3-pointers steady, getting ready for the meet and greet, they're doing the Super Bowl prop sheet. I got some good stories, by the way. I'll tell you off air later. They mentioned Isaac last night. All right, let's bring in Bryan Power, another college basketball capper. Before we get to Meghan Payton, who's live in Arizona, going to talk some Super Bowl props. Prez can't sneak onto Super Bowl row, but Meghan can. We're going to get to her in a little bit. But Bryan, first, let's talk some more college hoops. We can, of course, find you on the NBA and college shows throughout the week as well. Quick reminder, NBA tip-off is at 4:15 Eastern on weekdays. A college hoop show is at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on Wager Talk TV. And Bryan, let's start off with the Big Ten battle. Before I get to that ever-hyped West Coast game I promised earlier, let's go Iowa and Purdue. What are you looking at in the Big Ten tonight?
Yeah, this is a game you can bet anywhere, guys. Take it from me. But Purdue, as you guys know, 9-game win streak snapped Saturday at Indiana, 79-74 loss there. And what was, I thought, notable, as I'm sure you guys know, the number 1 ranked team in the country, Purdue, actually closed as an underdog in Bloomington. But despite the loss, they retained the number 1 ranking. Tennessee also loses last week, plays a role in that. But now Purdue favored as they return home to West Lafayette to face a dangerous Iowa team. And, Saturday may have just been the second loss for Purdue all season, but they trailed virtually the entire game, down 15 at the half. And as I've written about previously, despite the high ranking, this is a team I am looking to fade down the stretch. They have 4 wins by 5 points or less since January 5th. One of those wins was by 2 against Ohio State, which is when they were off a loss last. And believe it or not, Teddy, I would be interested to hear your take on this. I do not have Purdue in the top 5 of my power rankings. I think there are 5 teams in the country that would be favored against them in an NCAA tournament. And I think we can use the concept, because people are going to bring this up, of it being a bounce back spot against Purdue here. I think this is an inflated number. Iowa, this is a team, they've won 3 straight, 7 of 9. You can always count on them for 2 things. Fran McCaffrey's going to be screaming at somebody, and they've got one of the most efficient offenses in the country. Number 2 in offensive efficiency. Yes, number 1 is Purdue. So it should be an up and down game. But it was a few games ago, this Iowa team really impressed me, guys. They faced Rutgers. Number 2 defensive efficiency in the country are the Scarlet Knights. Iowa put up 1.3 points per possession in that game. That is very impressive. Now, I know that was at home, as were their last 2 wins. On the road, there's been some struggles. They lose 2 straight, 3 of 4. But 2 of those 4 losses by 4 points or less. The only time this year Iowa has gotten more than 3 points before this game, they were 5.5-point dog at Rutgers. They win outright. So at the very least, I believe Iowa keeps this game close, and I give them a shot at the outright upset. Take the points.
So they were 5.5 at Rutgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus 5.5. And now they're what, plus 7 here?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Purdue more than 1.5 better than Rutgers?
I like Rutgers a lot.
And it's, I think, I kind of like Rutgers. It made me mad lately. So I used to like Rutgers more. But like, there's no comparison between those two teams in my numbers. And it's like, isn't this a buy low sign on Purdue right now? And you talked about Iowa and their road struggles. Iowa's won one road game since Thanksgiving, the game at Rutgers, where they were shooting lights out. And Rutgers, when Iowa's hitting, they're going to beat teams. But when they're not hitting, they don't beat teams like Purdue on the road. Does Iowa correlate with over here? I guess I'm asking a lot of follow-up questions. Answer wherever you see fit.
Okay. This is where I'm going to go with this. I think this game comes down to Iowa's ability to get unguarded jumpers. Purdue, going into that Indiana game, they were 98th percentile in field goal percentage on unguarded jumpers. That's very fortunate for those not familiar with that particular statistic. So if Iowa can get open jumpers, and this is, again, the number 2 efficient offense in the country, they can knock them down. I give them a great chance at the outright upset. And this also needs to be pointed out with Purdue's conference record, guys. 4 of those wins in Big Ten play for the Boilermakers against Nebraska and Minnesota, 2 teams I affectionately like to call the 2 worst in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's interesting to me too, guys. I do a top 25 video every Saturday here on WagerTalk TV. Hit subscribe, hit the bell for when it goes live tomorrow and Friday. But Purdue was number 1 in the country, of course, last week when they lost to Indiana. They had all 94 votes between the coaches poll and the AP poll combined. And even with that loss, they're still number 1. And right now they've got, I think, 53 of the 94 votes. So we'll see if they bounce back. A terrible defensive outing against Indiana. Gave up over 52% shooting, a team that was allowing just 40 on the season. So we'll see if that defense bounces back tonight at home. Bryan Power thinks Iowa could keep it close. Brian, West Coast game. I promised this one numerous times. BYU Pepperdine, 10 o'clock Eastern. Semi-degenerate special. Drew Martin would be proud of you for talking about this one. CBS Sports Network, what are you doing with this one?
I can only hope my analysis lives up to the hype, Steve. Pepperdine is a team that has not lived up to the hype. Simply put, it's been a bad season for them. Okay, we know that. They just won for the first time in conference play and the first time overall since December 23rd. That's 2 days before Christmas, if you don't have your calendar handy. But you guys know me. I am going to say that I really love this spot for the Waves. I think the team is more talented than the record shows. They've been bad on the road, but this game's in Malibu where they have a winning record. I'm a little shocked, honestly, at the way the line has moved. This is the kind of spot that the odds makers, at least it's been my experience, have been shading kind of low in anticipation people would want to go with the dog. The first time these teams met, Pepperdine closed plus 10.5 on the road in Provo. They covered that number. Now we're able to get a pretty comparable number at home. And this is the big key, I think. BYU has a massive revenge game on deck this Saturday against Gonzaga. They lost to Gonzaga by 1 back on January 12th. That was a game BYU thought they had. They faded down the stretch. Talk about teams struggling on the road. BYU's lost 3 or 4 on the road. And while it took double overtime for Pepperdine to get that win last Saturday, what a wild finish that was. This is a team that can shoot 41% from behind the arc at home from 3. I'm not at all surprised if BYU's looking past this one. Well, Pepperdine, they get the monkey off their back. They should be very motivated to earn their first home conference win of the year. Give me Pepperdine plus the points late night.
So I've had my money on Pepperdine a couple of times this year. And the one lesson I've learned from having my money on Pepperdine is that Pepperdine is god-awful. They're just a bad basketball team. And when it takes you double OT to get your first conference win against Portland in February, that's telling you that you're a bad basketball team. BYU's not a bad basketball team. They're a good basketball team. They've beaten Pepperdine each of the last 2 times by double-digit margins. The look ahead, I get it. You got Gonzaga on deck. But in this point spread range, even with the look ahead, if they start fouling at the end, BYU can cover the number. How comfortable are you putting your money on teams you know are bad, like Pepperdine, even though they're catching a bunch of points?
Well, probably more comfortable than I should be, Teddy. But, last night, for instance, we had a couple teams that, again, I don't think anyone's going to be betting on to make the Final Four. UIC and Hampton, they both covered for me. So I don't know. It's kind of a hallmark that I do. You were talking with Jimmy about buy low spots. I just think this is the ultimate buy low spot for Pepperdine. I like the idea of, okay, a team finally has that win. You like you guys were talking about earlier. You don't want to just try to anticipate, okay, this is going to be the time they finally get that win. But when they do finally get that win, I think there's some confidence there. They are back home. And like I said, they can shoot well from 3. I think they're more talented than the record shows. And BYU struggles on the road. So with the look ahead, I'm pretty comfortable taking those points, Teddy.
It's Bryan Power. Find him at WagerTalk.com. Also find him on both the college and pro basketball shows throughout the week. And once again, College Hoop Show. More college talk at 2 o'clock Eastern, NBA at 4:15 Eastern today on Thursday. And Bryan, on the way out, let us know what you've got going on at WagerTalk.com. I know when I last checked, you're on a 67% college hoops run.
Yeah, and we're doing really well. As a matter of fact, we're still on a 67% college hoops run, and we like a lot of games tonight, Steve. I have 5 games loaded right now. You can get them all in one package for tonight. Went 4-2 overall on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I was on that Utah State game too. I thought they were going to pull it out. I was really close to going 6-0 last night, guys. Both losses were teams that played horrible first halves, had frenetic finishes, and came up just short. The other one was Winthrop in a game that I'm sure no one besides me was watching. But you'll have to take it from me. They came up just 1 point short of the spread. But 4-2 yesterday, and we've got, of course, the 5% play up in the Super Bowl, 8-1 run with 5% plays going back to late December. That is, I believe, the best record over that time at WagerTalk. So really proud of that top play record and looking forward to cashing one more this NFL season.
Yeah, sounds good. Brian's got a big card tonight on Thursday. And by the way, Teddy, last week he went a perfect 4-0 on Thursday. So people, you might want to check out Bryan Power at WagerTalk.com. All right, Teddy, when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to talk NFL props from here on out. You've got a big game breakdown, and then we've got Meghan Payton live from Super Bowl 57.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. We've been talking Super Bowl props all week. Let's stay with the theme. I want to talk about total punts in the game today. Over under 7.5. Feels low, doesn't it? But every sharp dollar is on the under. I'll tell you why. Look, punts. That's possessions that don't end in touchdowns, possessions that don't end in field goals, possessions that don't end in stopped on downs, possessions that don't end in turnovers. Or for that matter, possessions that don't end in fake punts, although I don't expect one in this ballgame. So the other possessions that aren't touchdowns, field goals, stopped on downs, or turnovers, likely to be punts. But how many possessions are there going to be? KC's been playing low possession games. Mahomes dinking and dunking, lots of time reading coverage of the line of scrimmage. Not as many big plays in the Tyreek Hill era. Edwin Solari back there. Don't be surprised they run the football a lot in this ballgame. Nick Sirianni's game plan, goal, is to pound KC up front, the front seven. They want to run it down their throats. Running, obviously, takes more time than passing when it comes to game clock. You don't do the incompletes. When you have a low possession game between two good offenses, I don't want overs on punting props. I want unders on punting props. We like these offenses. We don't expect a game where you're going to get 12, 13, 14 possessions. Look under 7.5 total punts for the game. Doesn't mean I like over for the game. It means I think it's going to be a low possession game with a couple of offenses that we like. Under punts. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
There we go. Nice free Super Bowl prop from Teddy Covers, one that is probably on a lot of the party sheets, a very common one with the total props, and Teddy likes under 7.5. Speaking of props, we are making history here on Wager Talk TV. I'm pretty sure, Teddy, we have never had someone live on Wager Talk TV from the Super Bowl. Prez was trying to do it this week, Megan. That's why it's a Prez free zone here on the show. Hopefully it is a Prez free zone at the Super Bowl. Although you should have brought him to hold the computer for you because Megan's making it Flex Thursday here. She's going to be getting a bicep workout. She's going hardcore, holding the computer as she goes over all these props. And if it gets tiring, just move around. We'll make this a mobile segment. Great to see you. Thank you for taking the time to join us and get right into it. Where do you want to start with some Super Bowl props?
Well, thank you, Steve and Teddy, for having me. Yeah, this is going to be a quick segment because I don't have the biggest biceps. I'm excited to be here. The energy here at Radio Row has been fantastic. A lot of people wanting to get in on the action. Arizona, a betting legal state, so it's been fun to hear everyone's theories. I'm going to go with a few different player props to back up my goal and my game script, which is the Eagles winning, the under hitting, and Jalen Hurts relying on his legs. So my first prop bet that I'm looking at is Jalen Hurts under 241.5 passing yards. Look, he's been productive through the air, and when he was fully healthy, this number only hit over 7 times. These numbers are going to be a little bit off and skewed just because the public loves to bet on overs during the Super Bowl. For 241.5 seems a bit high for me. The Eagles' superpower against the Chiefs, run the ball. That could be Jalen Hurts. That could be Miles Sanders, but it's not going to have to be Jalen Hurts through the air. Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, he passed concussion protocol. He's going to be out there on Sunday. I expect this Chiefs defense to do better at stopping the pass than stopping the run. So take under 241.5 passing yards for Jalen Hurts. Let's switch over to the running game. That is Miles Sanders. I'm looking at over 59.5 rushing yards for Sanders. Again, this is all going with my game script. I think that's really important when you're betting in the Super Bowl. Come up with a plan and find bets that go with that narrative. He's been the leading rusher for this Eagles offense. He hit over this number 11 times during the season. He's been efficient, averaging nearly 5 yards per carry. And there's been talks about Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. Here's the thing. There's been blowout games for this Eagles offense in which they had to bring in Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell to make sure Sanders is going to be healthy. Look, it's the Super Bowl. It's going to be close. Miles Sanders is going to be out there a lot, getting a lot of carries. I'm actually also looking at him to be the leading rusher of the game. You can get that at plus money. So that's a fun way to find some value on a player that's so popular. All right, last prop bet that I'm going to give you guys today is Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. I'm sticking with all Eagles props today. The Eagles have done a great job of connecting with their top tight end in Dallas Goedert. Goedert finished 3rd in red zone targets for the Eagles this season. And you look at a Chiefs defense that has not been good at stopping passing touchdowns, and they definitely haven't been good at stopping tight ends in the red zone. Chiefs allowed 9 touchdowns to tight ends in the regular season, which is 7th in the league. So you want to find anytime touchdown that's not a tight end named Travis Kelce? How about tight end Dallas Goedert?
So Meghan Payton says Jalen Hurts under passing yards, Miles Sanders over rushing yards, and Dallas Goedert anytime TD. What about the Gatorade? You got a
All
thought
right,
on
I
the
wanted
Gatorade?
you to ask me about that, Teddy. I didn't know if I definitely have a thought on the Gatorade. It's the Super Bowl. We got time for the Gatorade. We're taking yellow/green. And, you know, as much as my handicapping skills might say this isn't the right one, I think that there's a little bit more that goes into it. I think that they like to find colors that match the team. I like the Eagles to win, so I like green Gatorade. By the way, last time the yellow-green hit was 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Only 3 times in Super Bowl history. Yellow-green, good combo. I'm taking that as my Gatorade pick.
Yeah, Megan, I'm going to follow real quick, and because Teddy's going to get to the real props. I love the Gatorade. We did the national anthem earlier. I went back and watched the other week. I do this every year at the end of the conference championships to see what color was dumped. Neither team, I believe, dumped any liquid, but then again, it was like freezing conditions in Kansas City and Philly. The last thing you want to do is to drop anything cold on Andy Reid and his age and condition. So I do think it could be a little different in Arizona, but did you see any no liquid at all prop, or would it be a push? Because neither one had it in the conference championships, but I think that might have had something to do with the cold conditions also.
Yeah, we're in nice Arizona. I don't think that we got to
Yeah.
worry about that. I understand if you're in Kansas City or wherever, you don't want to get anyone too chilly, but I don't think they're going to do a no Gatorade. That's not fun.
So, Megan, I want to ask you about what it's like being there live. They call it Radio Row, I'm assuming where you're at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Talk about the experience of being there. Are you walking up and down just getting one interview after the next on radio shows around the country? Or how's it work? What's the feel like in Arizona this week?
Well, it's a lot of fun, Teddy. There's tons of different media outlets out here. Everyone's super excited for the week. And there's a lot of people asking betting questions. That's what's so fun as we see an increase in sports gambling. It's turned into Radio Row, that was just your traditional media outlets, to a huge betting scene. So it's been fun just jumping around, getting people's insights, their different prop bets that they're looking at. And as always, as you guys know and have been promoting, WagerTalk.com has all of the Super Bowl access passes. So I've been on those this week, getting an insight at what the best handicappers at WagerTalk have.
Yeah, be sure to
And
tell them to download the prop sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the feel? Is it a Chiefs feel in town? Is it a Eagles feel in town? Is it 50-50? What's the feel around radio? Who do the radio hosts like? Because those are the ones we want to fade.
Well, I'll say this, then maybe I should be fading myself, because I have heard a lot of Eagles out here. Despite Patrick Mahomes looking like he's going to be pretty good with this ankle injury, it seems that many people are looking at it the way that I am, which is that the Eagles are better at running the ball. They have the better defense, the better offensive line, the better defensive line. And so it seems that people are betting on full teams versus quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in this game. Still seems like people are fading him.
And
Megan, real quick, I thought
seeing...
you brought up Teddy, I was going to say one thing real quick. She said about the schedule strength. The Eagles' schedule strength is a big question for me, Megan, and they do have the better numbers across the board. But with the props, I thought you had a really good point, Sanders. You have to be careful looking at the blowout games, right? Because that's not how the Super Bowl is likely going to be. And Teddy, I think that gives some extra value as well. I just wanted to throw that up.
Well, yeah. So I want to ask, like, what props are the popular props that people are asking you about, that all the hosts want to bet? Or does everyone just want to bet the yes overtime and yes safety and get the big plus prices, the squarest plays on the board?
Well, everyone, Teddy, loves to bet on the basic props. So, of course, everyone's doing Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. People are looking at the overtimes, the fun Super Bowl props. But a lot of people love overs. And that's what's been so interesting. If you just go one level deeper, you'll realize that a lot of these numbers are skewed because they're having more bets than ever at any time in the season. So you're going to find a lot of these overs hitting just from the public. So this is a time to find some value in the unders.
And last question that I have for you: are your arms getting tired? Because I know you're holding that out. You want to do a couple curls while you're,
Messing with me, Teddy, with the follow-up question, and all the weeks prior. Now, when I'm holding the computer, you've got lots of things to say. So I'm going, it's shaking up and down, but no, it's good.
Well, Megan, we'll let you go so you can do legs and back and chest to finish your workout here, because you've got enough biceps, and you really should train more than just one muscle group. But it is Flex Thursday. And once again, that's Meghan Payton live from Radio Row, live from Super Bowl 57 is what I'm saying. And Megan, what else do you have going on this week before the big game?
Well, thanks, Steve. Yeah, we've got our new show, Last Call, up at WagerTalk. I'm going to head back to the hotel, film that later this afternoon. We're going to get in some NBA action, some college basketball. It's Super Bowl week, but plenty of other action going around sports in general.
And I'm sorry, Megan, I got one last question that I got to ask you. How much you guys paying for rooms out there? Because I heard some crazy. I heard the stories that I should, like, next year when the Super Bowl is in Vegas, I should be taking my house and Airbnb it, because they were talking like you get $50,000 for your house for a week. Are you paying ridiculous prices?
I got to be honest, I'm not paying for it. I luckily my dad's doing media this year, so they were able to hook me up with another room. So thankfully, that's the reason I'm here.
You got me intrigued, Teddy. I might go buy some real estate here before next year. Maybe this summer,
Yeah.
August 19th. By the way, Megan, circle the date. Saturday, August 19th is tentatively when the meet and greet is going to be in Las Vegas for Wager Talk Super Contest weekend. So it'd be great to meet you in person. So Saturday, August 19th, put that in your travel plans if you get a chance. Have a great Super Bowl
Will
Sunday,
do.
and we'll catch up with you soon. And once again, keep an eye out for Meghan Payton here all week long on Wager Talk TV, and follow her on Twitter as well. Teddy, great show. We'll do it one more time tomorrow on Friday, and it'll be the official last show before Super Bowl Sunday. So must-see TV again tomorrow and Friday at noon Eastern here on Wager Talk Today. Don't forget also, shows are archived, as I said, and we have other shows coming up. Hit subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts so you never miss shows. You don't miss my NFL Fade the Public video. Might be up tomorrow and Friday. I'm still doing some work on the Super Bowl edition, but if you want instant access, hit that bell for alerts. And comment below. Let us know your favorite Super Bowl props. Let us know where you think the value is with Super Bowl 57. Like, subscribe, and comment below. And Teddy, take us home.
Wager Talk Last Call, of course, now on Saturday morning. So we have tomorrow's show and the Wager Talk Today. And then Saturday morning, the Wager Talk Last Call, the brand new show here at WagerTalk.com. That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition. Like Steve said, we'll do it again on Friday. Same time, same channel. Between now and then, enjoy the game, and best of luck with all.
Good show, guys.
Sorry, Steve. I kind of jumped on your stepped on your toes a couple times.
That's fine. I didn't really know how we were going to do that because I didn't know how tired she was getting. We had extra time, but I knew you had a hard out, so we're good.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Handicapper
You did a
for
props.
only
We chatted for a bit. We
$11.99
gave some
versus
info.
regular
Yeah, we got
price of
everything in. It was a good
$19.99
show.
for a
All
total
right, buddy.
savings
I'll see you
of
tomorrow.
$800.
Thanks, Ted.
This limited time super discount
Thank you,
is
Dan the man.
52
Thanks, Dan.
weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.